The room was quiet, only the crackling of oil lamps, the shuffle of tired feet, and the unspoken tension of a long road behind and a darker one ahead. I rose from the table, I took off my outer garment, and I poured water into a basin. I then knelt. I knelt before the calloused feet, feet that would soon flee, one that would soon betray, and all the others would falter. And I washed them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so I am, but do you understand what I've done for you? Let me show you what true greatness looks like. Not atop a throne, not behind a title, but on a floor with a towel in hand. If you would follow me, you must begin there. The rules of this world, those with power, titles, wealth, they love to be served. They wear their status like robes and expect others to bow. But it must not be so with you. The world says climb. I say kneel. The world builds ladders, and they teach you to climb. Step over others if you must. Just keep going higher. But when the storm comes, ladders topple. A servant's heart, though low to the ground, built on love and not ego. That is a foundation, and it will not fall. Tell me, whose feet have you washed? Not in water, but in kindness, in listening, in sacrifice, when no one applauded. If you cannot name someone, begin again today. You argue among yourselves who's greatest, but I say to you, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, the leader like the one who serves. For who is greater, one who reclines at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one at the table? And yet I am among you as one who serves. The disciples asked me about greatness, so I called a little one close and said, "Unless you become like this child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." "Why?" they asked. "Because a child trusts. A child follows. A child does not fight to be first. A child just wants to be near the Father." Can you lead without applause? Can you love when no one sees? Can you pour yourself out only to be forgotten by those you served? Would you still do it for me? In my kingdom, the throne is low. The crown is a towel. And the higher you climb, the lower you must be willing to stoop. This is the way of greatness, not to be seen, but to see. Not to be lifted up, but to lift others. Do not mistake my gentleness for weakness. I had the power to summon legions of angels, and I could still the storm with a word, and yet I chose a towel. I chose the basin, and I chose the floor. A lion lies down beside a lamb, not because he is tame, but because he is strong enough to choose peace. That's the strength of my kingdom. Power, restrained by love. Which is greater, to crush your enemy or to forgive him and lift him up? To win the argument or to win the heart? When I knelt to wash their feet, I was not beneath them, I was above them, and I chose to go lower. That is what strength looks like in my kingdom. True power is not in those feet you command to kneel, but in whose feet you're willing to kneel before. I healed the blind man when others passed by him. I listened to the woman when others threw stones, and I fed the hungry when the crowd grew restless. I wept at Lazarus's tomb. I walked beside the weary on the road to Emmaus, and I touched the untouchable, those that no one else would come near. I did not come to be served. I came to serve. I was tired. I had no place to lay my head. I was rejected by my own. I was falsely accused, misunderstood, betrayed, but I kept serving. Why? Because love cannot stay seated while others suffer, because my Father is love, and so am I. A candle loses nothing by lighting another, but the room is never the same. You were not made to burn alone. Light the room, let your life be flame. I emptied myself, took on the form of a servant, obedient unto death, even death on a cross. And so my Father lifted me up above every name that can be named. Pride must always defend itself and explain itself and then justify itself. But humility trusts. Trust the Father to speak when the time is right. Trust the Spirit to answer, and trust that to lose in the eyes of the world is to be found in mine. Will you fight to protect your name? Or will you let my name be your covering? Will you grasp for a title, or let me call you friend? I stood before Pilate. The crowd roared. The lies multiplied. And I said nothing. Not because I was weak, but because I was free. Free from fear, free from needing to be right, free to love even those who nailed me down. In my Father's house, the servants sit with the king. There, no one scrambles for honor. No one grasps for the seat nearest the throne. For the last are brought forward, and the least are crowned. Do you remember her? The woman with the broken flask, the tears that washed my feet? The others whispered behind her back, but I saw her heart. And I said, wherever my good news is told, her story will be told too. Do you remember her name? Perhaps not, but I do. Today you hold a towel. Quiet service, hidden sacrifice. When all is finished, when the tables are set and the seats prepared, you'll trade that towel for a crown, not made of gold, but of glory. You are never more like me than when you serve someone who cannot repay you, when you stoop low enough to see another's pain and lift them, when you pour out kindness with no thought of return. That is the fragrance of my kingdom. That is my likeness in you. The true test of leadership is not how you serve when the crowds are watching, but what you do when the room is empty, when no one says, "Well done," when no one claps, when you speak gently to one who has wounded you, though it costs you pride, when you stay behind to clean the mess others left and no one thanks you, when you kneel alone at night and pray for those who mocked you in the day. These are the moments that shape eternity. Are you leading to be noticed or to be faithful? Do you want the seat of honor or the presence of the king? Do you wash feet because you must or because love leaves you no other choice? I've given you an example, not a performance and not a gesture, a pattern. Go and do likewise. Take up the basin, take up the towel, not once, not for applause, but as a way of life. Let your hands become calloused for kindness. Let your knees wear thin from prayer. Let your table always have room for one more. Serve the poor, not just with bread, but with dignity. Visit the prisoner, not just behind bars, but in the prison of shame. Feed the hungry, not only with food, but with hope. Bind up the brokenhearted, not with answers, but with presence. This is how my kingdom grows, not through might and not through titles, but through towels and tears and quiet acts of faithful love. You who have loved the least, you have loved me. When you knelt beside the sick, when you forgave without apology, when you gave your cloak, your strength, your silence, heaven was watching. And on that day, when the scroll is unrolled and your name is spoken in my Father's house, I will stand beside you and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of our Lord." When the world remembers your name, will they remember your crown or your towel? Which do you long to be known for? The throne of heaven was won by a cross, and the crown I wear was given to a servant. This is the kingdom, and this is the way. So come, lead with me. The world needs you, and I will be with you always.